Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Crown and today we are going to have some more stories that I hope that you will enjoy. But before we start, it would be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed it, and maybe leave a comment down below. These simple clicks would mean a lot to the future of this channel and really reward the effort that I put in every day. And now, without further ado, let's go! First story. Make a developmentally disabled boy cry? Lose your family. My former boss is the worst human being I've ever met. He did all sorts of things to mess with anyone he didn't like. So a while ago I was at a family event in a local park. Walk in with a young boy from our family who is developmentally disabled with Down syndrome. His name was Ben. Ben does fairly well, all things considered. But he's always been sensitive to anyone making fun of the way he looks or his condition. We are just having a good time on our little stroll. Ben and I both enjoying the day. And along comes my boss walking towards us. I will call him Rob. I cringe at seeing him but smile and say hello to play nice. Rob says, "There is something you don't see every day. A pair of ugly R-words walking together." Ben bursts into tears as Rob laughs and walks off. I deal with Ben and ignore Rob. I am super angry and trying to calm Ben down because for a few minutes, he was totally distraught. Finally, I get Ben to focus on how he has me and a lot of other awesome friends and family, and that Rob is a stranger and what he thinks doesn't matter. We walked some more, and I saw that Rob was at the park with his wife and teen daughter having a cookout, and he had apparently been on his way back to his family from a trip to the toilet when he saw us. Back to being super angry, I went back to our gathering and talked to an adult cousin of mine, Jay, telling her what happened. She wanted to get revenge on Bob, but I reminded her that this was my boss. I didn't want Rob to be able to know that revenge had anything to do with me, because then he'd make my work life even worse than he already had. So Jay asked me for anything I knew about Rob that might help. I told her a bunch of things about Rob, but the relevant information here is that Rob liked to drink a particular kind of locally made beer at a certain bar. Rob had talked of having drank there on the previous Friday night, while his wife and daughter were away visiting her family. Also, Rob had recently told a story at work about his wife's obsession with a particular little green fictional character. Let's call it Yabby Boda. Turns out his wife kept a stuffed Yabby Boda on their bed at all times. I was not there for the revenge setup itself, because I didn't want Rob to see me, but Jay filled me in the details afterward. It was basically this. She approached Rob and put an arm around his shoulders and tried to hug him. Rob pushes her off. "What are you doing?" Rob's family is now paying attention. Jay tells him, "I'm just so excited to see you, sweetie." "What are you talking about? Seriously, you're going to act like you don't know me now?" "I know you were a bit tipsy after all of those beers at the bar last Friday, but certainly you remember how we had fun hanging out." "Nothing happened of the sort later, or ever. I don't even know your name." "Stop lying." Rob, turning red by now, yells, "You lying son of a—" Rob's wife interrupting, "Listen, I don't know who you are, but this is my husband. I'm sure you have him mistaken for someone else. Please just leave us alone." "Oh no, I'm not mistaken. We had a lot of fun on Friday night, and now he's acting like he doesn't even know me." Rob's wife says, "I told you, this is my husband. You're mistaken." "Oh, maybe I am. I guess it was someone else who kept talking to me and complaining about his wife's obsession with Yabby Boda. I'm sorry." Jay then turns and walks away. Then his wife yells, "Oh my god, Rob, what the hell is wrong with you?" Long story short, Rob's wife wasn't really happy with him anyway. This was apparently the tipping point that made her file for divorce soon thereafter. Rob frequently complained at work in the following months about how he didn't care about his wife, but really missed his daughter and how much it sucked to live in his new place compared to his old home. Every time he complained about his lack of a home life at work, I knew he did it to himself when he was mean to a developmentally disabled kid. The best part is he never figured out I was involved at all. Next story. Bully me into selling you my car? You pissed off the wrong mama bear. So about 8 years ago I sold a used car. Engine light was on. The AC needed recharging and the fuel pump or something was out. So I go to my local trusted sales site. Ad goes up with a few pictures and the words, "I work weird hours so I may not be able to accept a phone call. Please only text me." Yay to work in swings and midnights, right? It was actually college classes, but same thing for me. So a few days in, I get a pretty standard text. "Hi, I'm Matt. Is your car still for sale?" Matt isn't his real name, but you get the idea. So I text back that it is. A few standard text about price, why is the engine light on, who did you get the quote from, and whatnot go back and forth. I listed an approximate price on the repairs as quoted from my trusted mechanic. The next day I got a text from him saying, "Are you going to take all of your crap out of the car before you sell it to me, or is that my job?" Unwarranted hostility? Really? What the hell, man? He's not the only interested party. So I text him back, "I'm not selling the car to you, so don't worry about it." I never said I would sell it to him. He never asked if he was the only interested party, and others were arranging test drives already. I did not need him and his less than full price partial commitment. And the crap he was complaining about, 3 textbooks and a bag I keep clothes in. 4 things. This guy did not like to take no for an answer, and he started calling and texting about how my car's paint is peeling. True, but the pics and description said so. And how dare I ask so much $1,000 for a piece of crap car? I started replying for a time, telling him he wasn't going to get the car, that I had other interested buyers, so he didn't need to worry about it, etc. Then things got personal. This site gave you the option to link to Facebook, so you could post at both places at the same time. So I had. I didn't have my privacy settings turned down, as I was still early into Facebook's absolute reign. And I actually trusted them at the time. Silly me, I know. I hadn't anticipated that he would be able to find my information through the website's post. Find my name, my location, pictures of my kid, my mother-in-law's op-ed, etc. Surprise me, he did. He starts to text me about how I should be ashamed of myself for saying no to him. A muscular dude and me being quite round female. He included the picture in one text, and he wasn't the muscular, built man he claimed to be. He looked like a beanpole with 2 ab muscles. So what the hell, dude? He asked me if I even knew everything about cars or if I made the post while I'm being emotional so I didn't know what I was talking about. He texted me that I should be lucky I was already married, or else he would come to my house and show me how a real man handles a little witch. He got close but didn't have an address, and the way my address pulls up on GPS, he never would find my apartment, thankfully. Small side info. Since I was in college at the time and needed a more flexible schedule, I worked as a school crossing guard. Every 2 weeks or so, we'd go in to sign our time cards in order to get paid. This crossing guard gig was a hire through my local PD. Not all crossing guard gigs are the same, but this one was. During one of these visits into the office, I was using my phone while I was waiting for my boss to get to me, my name being low in the alphabet. I hadn't yet blocked the dude, as it hadn't been long since this started, and I was hoping it would fizzle on its own. I didn't check my phone in class, choosing to turn it off to avoid ADHDing on it the entire day, and I was often flooded with several hours of texts all at once. What I saw on my phone drove me over the cliff. He started texting about pictures I had posted on Facebook about my 8 or 7-year-old son. He had just majorly crossed the line. His cleanest version of his texts included things like, "Your kid is just as ugly as you are. I hope you don't plan on him leaving home to get a wife anytime soon," and how a smudge of dirt on his face from a day at the zoo looked like I beat him. "I didn't sell you a car and you're taking out your rage by threatening to harass me and accusing me of beating my own kid? Oh heck no." Apparently I was loud when I said what I did, because my boss stepped right over to me next and asked me what was wrong. Great person. 10 out of 10. I told her that I was about to erase the texts and block him, but she's like, "No. Wait, don't do that. Let me see your phone." So happy I didn't delete them because this next part still makes my heart sore. I offer and she takes my phone, reading all the sick and vile things he texted to me. She tells me to wait until she's cleared the lobby of the other crossing guards. So I do. She then tells me to follow her behind the security doors at the PD station. Still having my phone. I don't know what's happening, but I liked and trusted her, so I do. I follow her back to her office where she works on her computer, referring to my phone on occasion. She asks if all I have is a phone number or if I got his name too. I tell her I only got a first name. I scroll to the text where he introduced himself. A semi-uncomfortable amount of time later, she hands back my phone. Something to mention, my boss isn't just administrative. I didn't know it at the time, but she's a full-on lieutenant in the local PD. She came up the ranks from patrol, moved into a position where she exclusively investigated child/elder/disabled abuse complaints before moving into her current desk position. Needless to say, she did not take people threatening harm to kids lightly. Because I hadn't blocked the number, I still had the text messages with the dude's name, and she had used it to cross-search him and the phone number. Long story short, she knew exactly who he was. She says not to worry, but to not delete or respond to his text anymore. She had it. If it got worse, I should call her or 911 as appropriate right away. Unconcerned and happy she had the situation in hand, I left and went to class. When I'm back to the office to sign my next time card 2 weeks later, I had several unread texts from this guy. I had filtered them so I didn't see them pop up and hadn't read them. I had sold the car for full asking price and all but forgotten the entire situation. My boss tells me to wait for her again as she had something else for me to sign. And I, again, return to her office. She briefly explains what she had for me. An actionable complaint that she needed me to sign from my issue 2 weeks ago. I remember everything all over again. She must see my face because she tells me not to worry, and that she can tell me what's going on more after I actually sign the form. So I do. Dear listeners, this is the best situation anyone could have asked for. The phone number tied to many people as a provider was known for cheap cell service for those that were desperate for a way to contact people/services/employment. But with the name Matt, again fake name, she was able to find out who was missing with me. She then got a driver's license, which led to an address, which led to a police report for possible domestic violence. Pull down the rabbit hole some more and you find out that this dude had 5 kids by 4 women. And he was in arrears on his child support to them all. Hadn't been paying for 10 plus years. And it was in a neighborhood of 30 to 50k if memory serves. But he somehow just 2 weeks ago requested a title transfer for a new to him quite fancy old car. I don't remember the kind, but think high-end cars show massive insurance premiums. Being so far in arrears meant that my boss was able to place a seizure order on the car, so it could be sold to pay back the child support. One of the baby mamas lives in a state where fleeing child support meant you could have a warrant issued for your arrest. When she called the interested parties in that state to see if they wanted her to execute the arrest warrant, they said yes, with much haste. That was a funny turn of phrase, so I always remembered it. One conversation later, my boss was able to determine that he was using the brother's social security number on his employment forms to avoid child support garnishments. This is all sorts of illegal. So she notified the guy's HR department so it could be corrected. They informed her that he would be fired for fraudulently submitting false documents. She then told me that about 4 days ago, she had executed the warrant on the dude for felony child abandonment, and that the state he was to be held for was able en route to pick him up. He carried an 8 to 12-year sentence, and he still had to pay his bank child support. I could have dealt with a comment, I could have dealt with the not taking no for an answer, even dealt with the cyber stalking a little bit. But when your twisted mind okays you to bring my kid into the picture, you have crossed the line. If you would have stopped at no, you wouldn't be in jail right now. Next story. Give me your seat. This happened about 2 years ago when me and my pregnant wife were going back from a hospital checkup in London. Since it was around the time work finished, the London Underground was packed, but my wife got to use the specialized chairs for disabled/pregnant people. Then the entitled mom and her poor kid get on. The kid was about 12 years old, and he was walking behind. His mom looks around, sees no vacant seats, so she starts bothering people to get up for her. I was fine with this apart from the noise, until she came to my wife. "Can I have your seat?" "Sorry, I can't. I'm not supposed to stand up. I might get knocked over and hurt the baby." My wife tells her, "Baby? My son deserves a seat way more than you. You're an adult. Be kind to the youth." "I'm pregnant. I'm not supposed to." "Pregnant? You aren't pregnant. You're just fat. Stop pretending to be pregnant and give up your seat for someone who needs it." Everyone in the carriage looked over to see Karen trying to pry my heavily pregnant wife out of the seat. Her kid was really embarrassed and tried to tell his mom that he could stand, but she wouldn't listen. A man from the crowd stepped out. "Hey, stop. You might end up harming her, and you will get arrested." "Arrested? You can't arrest me for trying to get my son a seat." This kind man tries to loosen her grip on my wife's arm, and I tried to help, but she pushes both of us away. "That is enough. You are under arrest for attempted assault and attacking a police officer." Karen then stood dumbfounded, and 3 stations later, she was escorted off by 2 other police officers. To all the Karens out there, beware the off-duty police officers. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.